Okay, it's time to teach you all some history because unfortunately in America, the educational system is completely fucking broken. And none of you know anything about slavery. Here's a hat that has Nebraska on it. Slavery was not legal in Nebraska. Ever. Okay? So let's read off some states. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Maryland. Did I miss any? Virginia, Arkansas, Missouri, Louisiana. I think that was all of them. Slavery was legal in those states I just listed. Sorry about any I might have said more than once. In Kansas, Nebraska, Washington, Oregon, California, Colorado, Pennsylvania, New York, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota, and basically the rest of the Louisiana Purchase, except for New Mexico, slavery was illegal and always had been. See, guess what is absolutely unequivocally, inarguably false? Slavery did not build this country. Period. End of fucking story. Not up for debate. Slavery picked cotton and tobacco and other cash crops for the 5% of the wealthiest white landowners in the South. You didn't build shit. Okay? And that was 200 years ago. 160 years ago at best. And guess what? As far as the South is concerned, 28% of free blacks owned slaves. Keeping slaves was not cheap. Owning slaves, purchasing slaves, feeding and housing slaves was not cheap. And believe it or not all of those southern plantation owners went around whipping and torturing and shooting and maiming and killing their slaves either. They obviously did not treat them very well, and they obviously did threaten them with violence, but it wasn't all one great big roots fest across the entire continental United States. That is a lie. The abolitionists were white, okay? And guess what? The Civil War wasn't fought over slavery. That's a myth. That had a little bit to do with it, but it was a culture war, and it was a war of economics. The North was industrializing, the South was built on agrarian and agricultural shit, and basically when Lincoln was elected, there was a big three-way election, and Lincoln became the president of the United States with probably not even a soul in the South voting for him. He won with, I think, 37% of the vote out of 3 people. That was a fucking neck-and-neck three-way tie of an election. And then just shit started to hit the fan from there. Tensions that have been boiling over forever because a lot of people in Kansas and Nebraska really, really wanted to have slaves. And a lot of people there really, really didn't want anybody to have fucking slaves. Especially not in their fucking state where slavery was technically illegal. And well before the Civil War happened, people were shooting and killing each other in the streets over the question of slavery. White people. Again, I repeat, all ignorant niggas listening. The United States was not 400 years of roots. You should have paid attention in school. And if you did and your school failed you, I'm sorry. And I would certainly accept that excuse. It's quite plausible. The fact of the matter is that slavery was started because the Portuguese started exploring. And they encountered African warlords in Africa who were keeping their conquered foes, both of which were African, both of which were black, as slaves. The Portuguese offered to buy some of those slaves. And the English the Germans and the French and all that shit, and the Americans, who were technically still the English at the time, were willing to buy those slaves because there ain't nothing better than free labor. And in fact, after a while, the whole quote-unquote indentured servitude, but actual slavery of the Slavs and of the Irish and shit happened because it was a lot cheaper for an English person to go over and just pluck up a defenseless Irish peasant for free from Ireland than it was to go and purchase, either from the Portuguese or from the Africans, slaves. You were not allowed to just walk into Africa and take slaves because you'd get fucked up. Okay? The Africans were fucking up people up to and after the time where everyone had guns. Okay? African warlords were legit. And they took slaves and continue to take slaves till current year, 2016. There's still African warlords taking and keeping African slaves in Africa right fucking now. Right now, as you're listening to me. Okay? There are slaves in Africa being kept by Africans. Nobody owes you reparations. The likelihood that your lineage as a black person can be traced directly to slavery is actually lower than you might think. Okay? And if your ancestors were slaves, they were likely slaves being kept by the Spanish in Haiti. Okay? There's a reason why everybody in Haiti is black, is because it was nothing but sugar fields being kept by black slaves who were being kept by the Spanish. You can go call the Spanish embassy and get your money, motherfucker. Okay? Or Jamaica, same thing. Or you're the children of immigrants. But I tell you what, I'll meet you halfway. Here in conclusion, you can go, and from everybody south of the Mason-Dixon line, you can take reparations from 5% of the wealthiest white people and 28% of the wealthiest black people. There's your reparations. Start making your phone calls. And fuck you. Okay? You're spreading lies. Okay? We don't fix any issues about racism, and we don't help people who are downtrodden by lies and extortion. You can advocate better social safety nets, better welfare systems, and reinfusion of cash into the economy and infrastructure and building and expansion. And I'm sorry to piss you off, black hipster racist, but gentrification would probably help you out a little bit. Okay? Anywho, those are influxes of tax money that could help you. And advocating somebody who's willing to, advocating representatives who are willing to raise taxes on the wealthy and cut taxes on the poor would overall help black folks, okay? But you all voted for Hillary Clinton. Good luck. Good luck. The corporate candidate who's in the back pocket of the banks and Wall Street is gonna get you your reparations, nigger. Really. Fucking really. If you want something, at least get it through constructive and feasible means. Fucking reparations? There ain't nobody 3 generations back in your family who was a slave. Stop lying. Slavery does not, has not, and will not affect you. Update your narrative. I never owned any slaves. I'm Irish. My fucking ancestors were also slaves. You owe me reparations. Especially if you're a black guy with an Islamic name. Okay? Because then you owe all white people for the Barbary slave trade. The Muslims who took white people by the millions. Okay? So, fuck you. Oh, and by the way, if you're a Haitian dude who's Islamic, Spain owes you, but then you owe Spain for nearly destroying Spain, so it comes out in the wash. You see how this argument is fucking pointless? Grow the fuck up. Thanks for watching.